Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. Today's webinar topic, we will be focusing on how to bring your concept to completion with the customer services here at Pointerpro. And my name is Chris. I am the project manager for professional services here at Pointerpro. So if you have had or have right now or in the future have a project with Pointerpro, then I will be the person communicating the project updates and the delivery with you. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the agenda so you can see what you can expect today. First of all, we will cover who is professional services for, what we can do for you as the services team, and what the process looks like. Later on, I will show you some real customer examples so you can know what the possibilities are. And at the end, I will have a Q&A session. But of course, throughout this whole webinar, if you have any questions, you can always write them down in the chat, and I will look at them all together at the end during the Q&A session. Let's get started. First of all, who are our customers in services? The first type of customers are the hybrid seekers. These are the customers that partially created something in Pointerpro already. They have an idea of where they want to land in the end. However, maybe they have time constraint. They don't really have the time to learn exactly how the tool works. So they want us to help them finalize the whole project. For example, in the case of an assessment, maybe you've already implemented all your questions in Pointerpro Questionnaire Builder, but then you're still not sure how to implement the scoring, the formulas, or even the logic inside Pointerpro, and to make sure it works smoothly. In that case, you can always contact us, share with us your document or Excel spreadsheet that contains the logic and the scoring, so we can discuss how we can help you finalize your assessment. Another example would be you finished the assessment already, including all the logic, the scoring is in place, but you don't have time yet to build out the whole report in Pointerpro and also connect it to your assessment in Pointerpro. In this case, you can also reach out to us and say, hey, these are the materials that I want to use for my report. Can you guys build this for us in Pointerpro and connect this new report to the assessment? So this is definitely a possibility. The second type of customers would be those that want us to fully implement the solution for them. Imagine you already have your assessment built in maybe a different survey tool where you used to collect responses, or you just have everything documented right now in your Excel spreadsheet. And on the other hand, you have your report mockup in a Word document or in a design tool like Canva, but you don't have enough time to fully build them directly in Pointerpro. This is the case where you can reach out to us and say, hey, these are all the materials I have. Then we can discuss the blueprint together with you. We can also prepare a statement of work to discuss how we move forward with the project. And the best part is, in addition to building the assessment and the report, we actually work together with you to come up with the best use cases and the best flow to make sure when you launch your assessment and your report, it works nicely as you want it to be. And in this case, the testing and feedback will be part of the project build-out roadmap. And in some cases, you can let us have the liberty on the design and branding for your report, as long as you give us the brand color, your brand logos, so that we can get started for you. And of course, if you already have all the design elements in place, we can fully implement them in your survey and in your reports. So what can we do for you? First of all, actually, we can do everything that's related to your assessment, and that's related to all the features that we have in Pointerpro, including the assessment builder, the questionnaire builder, the report builder, dashboard builder, and also the distribution portal. But here on the screen, I am listing down the 4 most common requests that we have got. First of all, of course, the assessment build. In the case of an assessment build project, typically we help you build up the questions, set up the logic, and also connect the scorings and formulas to make sure your respondents get the right scores, and also set up the outcomes. And in some cases, you might want some automated email follow-ups that will be sent to your respondent after they submit the responses. So in these cases, we will also set up the email templates for you. And for some assessments, it depends if you have more a specific design or layout that you want to have in your assessment, or you have some other calculations that our default formulas feature cannot accommodate, then in those cases, we will use custom CSS and custom JavaScript for you to implement exactly the way you want it to be. And you see here, I added add more and more. This is because every assessment is different. So it really depends on your use case, what kind of questions, what kind of logic, and what kind of formulas you have. And we can always have a separate discussion to see how we can come up with the best solution for you. The second type would be report build. In the case of a report build project, we will implement the designs and the layout from your report mockup exactly the same way in Pointerpro. This includes help you setting up the dynamic content with logic rules so that you can make sure the PDF reports that your respondents download will be connected to their response. So it's truly dynamic and personalized. And again, for some reports, you have some special design charts or tables. And in those cases, we will implement CSS and custom JavaScript for you. Another common request that we have got is custom charts. By default, in the report builder in Pointerpro, we already offer a variety of charts for you to choose and to put them in your report. However, we know for some businesses, depending on your methodology, maybe you have different charts, some more custom charts that you want to put in your report to offer more insights for your customers. So you can definitely bring up those requests, and we will see what is the best solution to build up these charts for you in the report builder. And lastly, another common request is to set up integrations. As some of you may already know, Pointerpro integrates with Zapier and Make, and through Zapier and Make, you can actually connect your assessment in Pointerpro with a lot of different platforms. A common use case would be connecting your assessment to a web shop or even via distribution portal. In other cases, if you want to use API or webhooks on Pointerpro to connect with a different platform, this is also something that we can connect for you. And in addition to building these individual elements for you, what we are proud of from our service perspective is we actually connect the dots for you. So after we build, actually starting from the build, through all the build, and after we build it for you, we are always in conversation with you to think about how you distribute your assessment, what is the ideal flow, what is the ideal experience that you want to give to your customer, and we connect the overall flow for you. So now let's take a look at the end-to-end services process. Typically, it starts with phase one, a discovery. This means at the point you have these materials in hand, but you're not sure how to get started. So typically, you can reach out to our account manager or basically everybody you're in contact with. Even send a message to our support team and they will connect you with the right person. In the discovery stage, you will share with us your blueprint of your assessment, all the materials that you have, including the mockups for your report. And me and also my team members, we will look at the requirements to see if we have everything we need. If we're still missing something, we may schedule another call with you to discuss all the requirements. After we have all the information we need, then we will go to phase two. In phase two, we will find a solution and come up with a clear scope of the project and deliver you a quote. In some cases, a statement of work can be provided. So that's case by case. And once we get an approval from you, for the quote, then we can start building it. Then we will move to phase 3. In phase 3, we usually start with a kickoff. So this kickoff, it can be a kickoff email because we already collected all the information we need. And of course, in some cases, if it's a more complex project, we're always happy to have a kickoff meeting to ensure we have all the requirements collected before we get started. After that, we will start with a project build. A lot of you would be wondering, usually how long does it take to have a project built out? So from our experience, normally a typical project takes 3 weeks. A more complex project will take definitely more than 3 weeks and even up to a month. And that usually includes the time where you check with the team for the finalized information. And of course, for some other projects that include some updates in code in CSS or JavaScript, this might take less than 3 weeks. So again, the timeline is totally case by case. And after we finish the project build, we will go to phase 4, the delivery. In this stage, we will deliver the final project, the final product to you. And of course, in this stage, you will look at the result of the assessment and the report we built for you. If there's any small changes or any feedback, for example, if you want to change some layouts here and there, some colors, we totally understand that because sometimes you might only know what you want to change when it's there. So that's totally okay for us. And after that, this is typically the time when you're ready to launch your assessment. So then we will go to phase 5, the aftercare. In this stage, typically you're already launching it, but of course, we are not going to just leave you alone. So we will be there with you whenever you have any questions with your first batch of respondents, for example. And later on, I want to show you some real examples that we have built out for our customers. The first case study would be a project that we've been working on for Fleuric Business School. Fleuric is a top business school in Belgium, and in this project, we built up an assessment and a group report for them. In this assessment, the students or the customers of Fleuric Business School, they're asked to take the assessment to evaluate the adaptive capability of their company across different domains. So at the end, the individual respondents, they will get their scores from different domains. And the best part is, in this report, they can actually compare themselves with an overall benchmark, with an industry benchmark, and also a company size benchmark, so that they know how they are doing compared with other similar companies in the market, in the environment. Another case study here would be Australian Design Council. As you can see on this screen, I have several screenshots because a big highlight of this project is the flow. So I'm going to start with the self-assessment right here. Originally, this project started with building out the self-assessment and report for this customer. And as you can see on the screenshot of the self-assessment, because this is a design council, so the design is a very important element for them. So actually for their survey, we implemented custom CSS to make sure the buttons, the experience follows exactly the way they want to deliver to their customers. After their customers submit their responses, they will be able to download a personalized report based on the respondents' inputs. After we build out the self-assessment and the report, we have actually several discussions with the customer, how they want to distribute their assessment. What is the use case there? So it turns out the customer realized that in their self-assessment, there are multiple questions that might take time for the respondents to fill out, which means they might need to take back to their team to check the best possible answer to fill in. So it means we will need to activate a feature in Pointerpro to allow these respondents to come back and start where they left off last time. And that's why on the left-hand side, you can see later on, we built a new sign-up form. This is a sign-up form that the Australian Design Council puts on their website. So whoever is visiting the website, if they want to participate in this self-assessment, they will start with the sign-up form. They will receive a personal email with a unique link to continue with their assessment. So the best part with this unique link is these respondents, they can save their progress and come back to the same link and continue where they finished last time. And yeah, so again, this is a case where we discuss the whole scenario, the use case, and the overall flow with our customer and actually build out the whole flow for our customer. Here I have some other examples of how we can use custom CSS to really match your brand identity. We understand that some default functionalities in Pointerpro might not always fit your branding. So in this case, we can consider it as a services project, and we can implement CSS to make sure the colors, the shape, and everything, and even the outcome screen match exactly the way you want it to be. So it's more attractive. It catches the attention of the respondent before they download the personalized PDF report. And here, if you want to even be more customized, you can go for a full customization on the assessment. So on the screenshot right here, you can see this looks very different from a standard layout of a Pointerpro assessment. Because in this case, our customer would like to make sure the experience in Pointerpro follows exactly the way they want to give to their customer. So you see, we changed the location of the button, we changed the layout of how the questions and the answers are presented. So these are all definitely possible with our services. And here I want to show you some charts examples. Again, in our report builder in Pointerpro, we already offer a variety of different charts for you to utilize, but we understand that for businesses, you want some charts that really fits your brand and fits your methodology because you're evaluating your respondents in different aspects. So in this case, typically what you will do is you share with us the chart mockup that you design in a different tool. This can be from Microsoft or from like Canva, a typical design tool. You will share the mockup with us, and then we will evaluate to see if this is something we can build with custom CSS, with JavaScript, or we will consider it a custom chart development project to actually build up the whole chart for you in Pointerpro. Some other examples would be this kind of bar charts. This would be something typical you see in the research or study reports. So these are all possible. And previously, we've got some requests from customers like, hey, they have some ideas. This is kind of the concept they want to have in their chart, but they are not sure what is the best way to visualize it. So you can always reach out to us. We can connect you with our data visualization, our chart experts. They will give you some best practices, some insights, and then if you decide, okay, that's the final chart that you want to go forward with, we will build a chart for you in Pointerpro. Lastly, here you can see some tables and some graphs basically. So on this case, it's actually like a scale, but with the different icons. So instead of a usual slider scale, we're using squares and stars to represent the scoring. And yeah, this definitely depends on the brand identity that you want to move forward. And here I want to show you that this example that this is also possible. You just need to provide us the mock-up and we will build it out for you. Lastly, I want to talk about some integration possibilities. So for integration services projects, usually they fall into two categories. First of all, database integration. This would be very helpful if you have benchmarking, percentile calculations, or in some cases, if your assessment is built based on a statistic model, and this model cannot be directly replicated in our formulas and calculations in Pointerpro, then we can consider building a separate database. and connect those data to your assessment and in your report to make sure your respondents get the correct data coming out from your assessment. This would be very interesting for some complex calculations, for example, 360 assessments or a longitudinal reporting use case. Another category would be middleware integration. And for this case, we're mostly talking about how to use Zapier, how to use Make or other integration tools, including webhooks, to connect your assessment, your data to your report. A very common use case would be you want to embed your assessment on your web shop. And this might be something to do with our distribution portal. So for this, we will use a middleware to connect your assessment, your web shop with the Pointerpro system to make sure the process is automated. And we've actually built up quite some web shop projects before. So if you're interested in monetizing your assessment, having a web shop online, you can always reach out to us and we will look at your case and discuss what the best solution is. So in general, let's say today, if you want to reach out to us for a custom project, specifically for assessment or for a report project, what do we need from you? For the assessments, typically we will need a question list. And of course, we will also need the custom scoring and the logic. And for this, usually you would have them in a document format or in an Excel spreadsheet format, so we can take a look and understand the requirements. Next to that, you can also share with us your brand kit that includes brand colors, brand logos, so we can already implement an on-brand survey or report for you. For the reports, typically we will need a design mockup because you are the one that knows the best what kind of information, what is the content, what is the layout, charts, and images that you want to include in your report. If you don't have an in-house designer, typically we would recommend using Canva or some design tools. They have some great templates. You can start with those templates, change colors, put your logos, and share with us those mockups so we can start from there and build up the reports for you. Next to the mockup, you will also share with us some static and the dynamic content because you want to make sure the reports that your respondents download are personalized and dynamic. Next to that, you will also share with us some image files because we want to make sure the images we're using in your report have good quality, have high resolution. So at this stage, if you have some doubts, if you're not sure if this is a project or you're actually not sure what is the best flow to develop your assessment or your reports, you can always reach out to an account manager from Pointerpro. You can share with us your files and we can start from there. And of course, you can always reach out to our support team. The support team will connect you with our account manager and me, and we can have further discussion to see how our services team can help you achieve what you want. All right, so now this is the Q&A session. I'm checking the chat area to see if there are any questions. Yeah, so right now you can definitely ask all the questions you need. And of course, afterwards, you can send me an email. My email is right here on the screen, chriscool@pointerpro.com. And like we mentioned, you can always reach out to your account manager. This might be Stacy, Matt, or Dries. And you can already have a discovery call with them. So here I see Robert has a question. What is the average time to complete a question? If I understand it correctly, you're probably talking about the average time to complete a project. Like if we were to build a project for you, typically how long does it take? Sorry. Yeah, typically, when someone is completing a questionnaire, how long does it take for one person to finish one question? I would say it definitely depends on the kind of assessments you're doing. For example, like if it's a personality test or like the case for flaring that we've been building, based on the question, most of the time you want them to answer it based on their first response because you don't want them to overthink. The first response should be most of the time the most honest answer. So I would say a typical answer should take them around 30 seconds to maximum 1 minute to answer, because this is not a quiz. This is more for you to understand to assess their situation. Now, of course, I've seen some cases where the questions are very, very long and they may have a lot of different answer options. Yeah, so then in those cases, the intention there is to make sure they really think through all the options. Then the average time of someone completing that question can really differ. I have another question here. Is it possible to set up a report that looks at the context response at 3 different points in time? Yes. So actually, this would be something that we just talked about. It's more like a longitudinal reporting. And last year, well, I was overseeing a project like that where the respondent, well, their contact, they will receive 3 different email invites, I think after like 2 months or so. So in the first batch, they will receive the pre-test. The questions are all the same, but in the intro field, we will mark it as pre-version. And then we will set up another email invitation to invite exactly the same group of contacts after 2 months, after 3 months. And in this case, in the URL, in the email invitation, you're going to set the version as 2 months later or after or post, for example. And after you collected all the batches, you can then use our aggregate reports feature to group these results and show the aggregate results of their responses over time. And yeah, this is definitely a very typical use case with our aggregate reports feature. And that's also a quite common request for a professional services project. And here, another question. Can they have a kind of clock that will show them what time that time is running out? So what I know is right now we don't have a clock by default as a default feature in Pointerpro. This might be possible with custom JavaScript, but I am not sure. If that's very important, I will definitely check with the team and get back to you, Robert. All right. Are there any questions? Yeah, again, if you have any questions later on, you can always reach out to basically anybody from our team. They will just connect you with the right person and we will have more discussions later on. Okay, it was very nice seeing you today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.